Welcome back to Worldwide Delicious. Today we are making Yuanxiao, glutinous rice balls served at the Lantern Festival that closes the Chinese New Year. They look simple, pale spheres that float to the surface, but their history carries the scent of palace corridors and the chill of prison ink. Our recipe is inspired by a 17th century description preserved in the Zhuo, a record of life inside the Forbidden City written by Liu Ruoyu, a palace eunuch near the end of the Ming Dynasty. In his world, food was never separate from power. While we build each ball one dusting at a time, we will follow a story of ambition, forged documents, and a court ruled from the shadows. This is not just a dessert. It is a festival bite that survived collapse and exile. By the end, you will know how northern Yuanxiao are formed by rolling a sweet nut filling through water and flour until a coat appears. And you will know why a simple name could become dangerous in politics. If you love dishes that come with history, subscribe now and stay with me through every turn of this Ming Dynasty tale. We begin with a filling of crushed walnuts, sugar, and melted fat, a rich paste for cold nights. Chill it until it can be rolled into small cores. Then comes the playful work. Dip, roll, dust, repeat, until the outside looks snowy and the center is hidden. Boil them gently, letting them float. Then calm the pot with cold water so the skin stays intact. Serve them hot so the chew stays lively and the sweetness stays bright. Every step is simple, but together they create a festival ritual that invites everyone to gather close. And that is where our story begins. Yuanxiao live between names and regions. In the north, they are built the way snow builds on a branch, by rolling a firm filling through water and glutinous rice flour again and again. In the south, a close cousin called tangyan is shaped like a wrapped gift, where a soft rice dough is pressed around the filling in one smooth shell. The flavors overlap: nuts, sesame, red bean, peanut, but the method changes the surface. Northern balls tend to look slightly puffed and textured. Southern ones are often glossy and even. That contrast matters in our story because the Zhuo describes the northern style, sprinkling or dipping the filling so flour clings in thin layers. Each pass adds only a little, but after several rounds, the coat becomes thick enough to hide the core. It is a patient process, perfect for a holiday when families have time, and perfect for kids who love to roll and watch the shape grow. In the late Ming, Jiangnan people used the southern name, and the writer hints that the dish was already widely known. Even centuries later, the same calendar moment returns. The final night of the New Year season when lanterns rise and wishes travel. In that light, a bowl of Yuanxiao is not merely dessert. It is a symbol of reunion and completion, round like the full moon and sweet like a hopeful year. Now, while we keep our hands dusty with rice flour, we step into the palace where round shapes did not always mean peace. The Ming court was a world of gates, whispered orders, and punishments. Eunuchs moved through private rooms and carried messages that could crown a favorite or destroy a family. In such a place, even a recipe can become a clue to survival. Our story opens with a man named Wei Zhongxun, a eunuch who climbed from desperation to domination. Some accounts say he entered palace's life to escape gambling debts. Others simply show a young man willing to trade his body for a chance at power. He found influence in the inner court and attached himself to the Tianqi emperor, who was young and easily guided. Alongside the emperor's wet nurse, Madame K, Wei shaped the court to serve his own will. Concubines were imprisoned and starved, advisors were forced to die, and officials learned that disagreement could end in a beating before any trial. To control the state, Wei filled offices with loyal men and built private guards. He took command of the Eastern Depot, a secret police network tied to the Forbidden City, and used fear as paperwork. Free-thinking academies were shut down, and shrines to Wei appeared, turning vanity into policy. In this climate, our author Liu Ruoyu rose in rank. not because he was the strongest, but because he could read and write with skill. Literacy was rare among eunuchs, and that gift made him useful and also dangerous. To survive, he learned to hide pride, to speak less, and to watch the room. Liu entered palace life as a teenager after a strange dream pushed him toward a permanent decision. He studied the search for immortality, hoping that secret knowledge might protect him. But his pen drew envy, and Wei himself noticed. Liu was demoted to work among stables and dust, far from ceremony. From that fall, he took a new name, Ruoyu, meaning the dumb, a mask of silence. Later, he was recalled and placed under the supervision of a eunuch ally, and that is where ink became evidence. He could not refuse the summons. The fateful mistake began with paper. An associate of Wei held documents stamped with the imperial seal, but otherwise blank, like a command waiting for words. With such sheets, a ruler in the shadows could write orders that looked official without ever asking the emperor. Liu, skilled in calligraphy, likely helped make these blanks into instructions. Whether from fear, ambition, or the simple habit of obeying superiors. For a time it worked, because the Tianqi emperor remained distracted by hobbies and kept away from state matters. But emperors die, and seals outlive them. When the Tianqi emperor passed, the Chongqing emperor took the throne, sharper and less willing to be managed. He investigated the courts, uncovered crimes, and found Wei guilty of abuses that reached across the empire. Wei was banished, but the new emperor feared rebellion and ordered him back for imprisonment. Wei chose a different ending and took his own life on the road, and then the court turned his body into a warning. Madame K was executed. Allies fell, and the net tightened around anyone connected to forged authority. Liu was sentenced too. Yet instead of death, he was sent to prison, where time and survival demanded a new strategy. He wrote. In confinement, he composed the Zhuo Zhangzi, beginning with regretful tones, presenting himself as naive, as if he never saw the storm around him. Whether that was truth or performance, the result is priceless. He documented rituals, clothing, ceremonies, and small details that most historians never see, including the method for our Yuanxiao, a recipe that became a quiet kind of immortality. Back in our kitchen, we keep the story moving with our hands. We toast walnuts, crush them fine, mix with sugar and melted butter, and chill the paste so it rolls cleanly. Once the filling is firm, pinch off a piece and roll it into a small ball. It should be bite-sized because the outer layers will add bulk. Now we build the shell the northern way. Set 1 bowl of water and 1 bowl of glutinous rice flour. Drop the filling balls into the flour and roll until coated. Then dip them in water just long enough to wet the surface and return them to flour. At first, it seems like the water should wash everything away, but the starch is eager and sticky, and a thin coat clings. Repeat this cycle until the outside becomes opaque and you can no longer see the filling. With each pass, the ball grows smoother and rounder, like a pearl forming. In some places, vendors use wide, shallow trays and swirl the balls in circles, creating yuanxiao with speed and showmanship. In a home kitchen, a bowl works fine, and the rhythm becomes calming. This is why the dish is perfect for family gatherings. The work is shared, hands move together, and conversation fills the room while flour drifts like winter dust. Names also carry stories. In the early 20th century, a leader named Yuanxiao disliked the word Yuanxiao because a similar sound could imply removing Yuan from office. He preferred the southern name, Tangyan, a reminder that language can be political. Still, whatever you call them, the goal is the same. A sweet round bite that completes the New Year season. Bring a pot of water to a boil. Cook a few balls at a time so they have space to swell. When they float, pour in cold water to calm the boil and protect the skin. Let them rise again. Then lift them out with a spoon and serve warm. When yuanxiao hit the table, the first surprise is the feel. The rice shell is soft but resilient, and it clings in the mouth with a gentle chew that makes you slow down. Take a bite, and the skin gives, then snaps, and the warm center answers with nutty sweetness. This filling does not run like modern sesame paste. It stays tender and slightly grainy from sugar and walnut, like a comfort crumble held together by fat. That contrast is the whole joy. Sticky outside, mellow inside, simple flavors carried by playful texture. Eat them hot, because the skin is at its best right after cooking, before it dries and tightens. If you are saving them for later, keep a little cooking water with them, so they stay moist. These are also perfect for teaching hands in the kitchen. Kids can roll the chilled filling, dip and coat, and watch the outside build layer by layer. The adult can handle the boiling pot, but the shaping is safe and satisfying. Many festival foods ask you to prepare a lot at once, and Yuanxiao fit that rhythm. Make a batch, share it, and let the bowl pass around the table while stories pass with it. And maybe that is why a palace record preserved this method. In a court filled with suspicion, a communal food still held its place, connecting people to seasons beyond politics. Liu Ruoyu wrote, "To survive." Yet in doing so, he gave us a recipe that keeps inviting families to gather, laugh, and end a year with something round and bright. Today, you can find these rice balls far from Beijing or Nanjing, in Chinatowns and kitchens worldwide. Each bowl carries the idea of completion, and each bite remembers a dynasty that ended, yet left sweetness behind. Let us zoom out from our bowls and see the path of Yuanxiao across time. On the streets of old northern cities, vendors carried pots and called out to crowds drawn by steam and celebration. At the end of the New Year cycle, when lanterns and riddles filled public squares, these floating spheres became edible symbols of reunion. They were round for wholeness, sweet for a good future, and shared for harmony. Meanwhile, in the south, Tongyan carried the same meaning with a different method that wrapped the filling inside a smooth dough. Over generations, fillings changed with local taste. Black sesame turned the center dark and fragrant. Red bean became soft and gentle. Peanut brought richness, and modern cooks created fruit, chocolate, and savory experiments. Still, the heart of the dish remains the same. Glutinous rice transformed into something that feels both ancient and playful. And the history behind our source reminds us that recipes can survive even when governments do not. The Ming Dynasty faded, the Forbidden City changed hands, and Liu Ruoyu vanished from the center of power, but his words traveled. Now they land in our kitchens as practical guidance. Grind the rice, form the filling, build the shell, boil until floating. If you try this recipe, notice how the process slows you down, how repetition becomes calm, and how the final bite feels like a small ceremony. Tell me in the comments what filling you would choose and what dish from history you want us to cook next. Some Ming-era kitchens flavored sweets with rose, and you can add a hint of floral jam if you like. Today, we stayed with walnuts and sugar to honor the simplest reading of the text. Now let us close with one final festival thought. Keep it bright. As the last lanterns rise, remember what this dish teaches. History is not only carved in stone, it is stirred in bowls, carried in hands, and shared at tables. Yuanxiao began as a festival comfort, but through one palace record, it also became a time capsule from the Ming Dynasty. A glimpse of how ordinary pleasures continued even when the court was tense. Today, you learned the northern method of forming the balls by layering flour through repeated dips. And you learned why a eunuch author wrote his way out of oblivion. Now, it is your turn to keep the story alive. Make a batch on a cold night, invite friends or family to roll the cores, and let the kitchen fill with laughter while the pot quietly boils. Serve them warm, watch them float, and listen for that soft snap when the skin gives way. If you enjoyed traveling through food and time with me, subscribe to Worldwide Delicious so you do not miss the next journey. Like this video to help more people find it, and share it with someone who loves cultural stories and comfort food. Drop a comment telling me whether you call them Yuanxiao or Tongyan, and what filling you grew up with, or what new filling you want to try. Next time, we will visit another dish with a hidden past, another bite that crossed borders and carried meaning far beyond flavor. Until then, stay curious, cook with kindness, and let every meal connect you to the world. If you want a deeper warmth, add a slice of ginger to the cooking water. Then ladle a little of that liquid into each bowl. It turns the dessert into a gentle soup that feels perfect after fireworks and cold air. Thank you for watching.